We were the first wave of women who could actually have it all, to use
Yeah.
inverted commas here, to have it all.
You see the tug of war and the internal strain and guilt. We've been now saying we can do it all, and here's the great career, and here's the role as a mother. But because we've now given ourselves so much opportunity, we're also depleting ourselves.
That doesn't leave much room for caring about yourself and actually considering yourself and other people who consider you. Society shows more compassion to the able-bodied community more so than the disabled community. I just want that same compassion to be shown both ends of the scale.
Hello and welcome to this very special bonus episode of Mindset Matters that I've decided to call Reflections on Motherhood. I've taken clips about motherhood that resonated deeply with me, and I wanted to share them with you again. In this first clip, money and investing expert Kel Gallivan talks about the financial and historical context around when women weren't allowed to work to when that was lifted, but she makes some great points about what it means for women to have it all.
There's a few stats that blow my mind. Like, Ireland only got fully electrified in the 70s.
Yeah.
A woman could only own a house in her own name in 1976.
Yeah.
Like that's not that long ago. That's in living memory of so many people.
I know.
The marriage bar for a woman to be able to work after she got married, kids or not, that was irrelevant. The second a ring went on her finger, up until the private sector in 1977 and a couple of years before that in the public sector, women, as soon as you had that ring on your finger, even if you wanted to, it wasn't an option.
No.
So when you put that context in place, we didn't have skills with money. We were so poor. Credit didn't exist. Like, proper careers never really existed. You got a job and whatever they paid you, tough bananas, that's what you had for your life. And that was your household income because the wife wasn't working, the guy was working, and you could have a whole litter of children and you just made it work.
Yeah.
So it was only in the 90s when a few different things happened, but the Celtic Tiger, basically, we had this influx for loads of different really cool reasons. This influx of money, the roads started being built, things started really happening, a lot of things started taking off, a lot of legislation change, massive. Like, at one stage, Ciara, we were growing faster than any economy in the history of the world.
Yeah.
That's how fast you were growing. But the thing is, when you grow that fast, when you've been poor for so long, like we'd famines not too long ago, like it was just, like, our history is littered with not being well off and not having money. And suddenly your trajectory is faster than anybody else in history. That doesn't mean the skill set comes with it.
No.
Just because it happens doesn't mean that we suddenly have all the skills to do it. So we're still catching up on that. And the other thing as well, that marriage bar was super significant in Ireland. Suddenly, and you and I would be of the generation where we're the first wave of women who could actually have it all, to use inverted commas here, to have it all. We could have careers, we could have families, we could get married. That didn't come with a rule book either. And we suddenly started going, well, I can do all these. And we started diving into education, and like, women in Ireland are so capable and so amazing at what they do. But we went so fast as well. We didn't give ourselves the chance to sit back and go, okay, I can have all these things, so I'm going to do everything.
Yeah.
As
Instead
opposed,
of how do I do?
How do I do it? And because guys have been able to go out and have careers forever, but that was usually when they had somebody at home who was managing the house, growing the kids, having the kids, rearing the kids, maybe managing the household budget, and like, we're in a very privileged position that we get to have the children.
Yeah.
Like, it's a beautiful thing to be able to do, but you can't do everything, and you have to plan and balance and often work as a team, because being a mom like you don't have a job and having a job like you don't have a family, that's a tough place to be. And it's not sustainable. I think women particularly need to go easy on themselves.
Yeah.
Because nobody in the world is expected to do that. And it is about the communication and the clarity and having a plan and going, okay, what are we doing? Okay, we might start a family. What's the next few years look like? And tag team it as best you can.
The next clip is pharmacist and integrative health expert Miriam Hussey. She talks about her experience in a world full of opportunity and what she wanted. In the book, you give a real honest and lovely account of motherhood. And it's not sugar-coated, it's real, it's your account. And that so-called notion of having it all. And I've never believed that. I don't believe in having it all. We have what we have at certain points, I think. And that was one of the contributing factors to me leaving my job as a journalist. I knew I couldn't be the mum that I wanted to be and also be the journalist that I had been. I just knew the two were not going to work together. And so I made that decision to be at home with Tig, and I don't regret it for a second. But I don't think it's easy to come to those realizations. And I don't think it's easy then to take action from that place. What do you think?
It's a great question, and it's one obviously that I am, it's really dear to my heart, and that's why I have spoken about it in the book, because I see the tug of war and the internal strain and guilt that so many parents, but women in particularly, I think we've nearly been, a little bit of a disservice to ourselves as women. We've been now saying we can do it all, and here's the great career, and here's the role as a mother, and but because we've now given ourselves so much opportunity, we're also depleting ourselves in every angle, and also failing ourselves because now we feel like we're not doing anything right sometimes. And if you're kind of half here and half there, sometimes, well, I know that's how I felt. That I was kind of, and I still do at times, feel like, I'm kind of half in, half out, half there. This is how I felt in my pharmacy role as well, when I was working as a pharmacist, and I was doing my integrative stuff on the side. It got to the point where I was like, I can't do both anymore because I'm giving myself to both directions, and now I feel like nothing has been done correctly, and that's where I made the decision. This is where my soul is asking me to go right now, at this phase and stage in my life. And as you said, sometimes it's difficult. And it is, when you're making a change, it's very difficult. And the ego screams at you to say, what are you doing, you crazy woman? Stay in the safety, stay in the safe, secure job, don't leave, because the ego is frightened of it's trying to protect you, really. But long term, it's not really protecting you, because it's keeping you locked and blocked and stuck somewhere that's not actually not what the soul wants. And again, as I mentioned earlier, the soul is trying to speak to you and scream to you, and it will speak to you in those little nudges, like the guilt or those inner intuitive feelings when you're kind of saying, oh, this doesn't feel right, And sometimes we just say, we normalize it. And that's what's happened in our modern world, is now that's feeling has become normal. Sure, everyone's doing it. It's grand. Sure, that's just the way it is now. Get on with it.
Yeah.
But deep and down your heart saying, that doesn't feel right. So why am I not listening to that?
In this next clip, pelvic health and women's health expert Aoife Harvey gives an honest account of the motherhood journey as we chat about matrescence and what that means for mothers. I'm going to throw another term in there because menopause, brilliant, loving that it's getting the coverage it deserves. Matrescence. It's out there, but I don't think it's as widely known as menopause. And I think that's where I was going with the gap in knowledge, that if we knew more about it, and if we didn't have to go and seek it out, because sometimes you don't know what you're looking for. But if we were taught more about how our bodies functioned, that we're very different to men. It's not a one size fits all. We have different hormones. Our organs function differently because of the different hormones. And that if we had that at an earlier stage, would we be armed then to mind ourselves better? I don't know. Would we?
I don't know, because do you know what, Ciara? Do you, Ciara, actually want to explain what matrescence is? Because you're very articulate.
God, I don't know, am I? So it's that shift in hormones, from the moment we get pregnant, I suppose, that's when it starts. And after you have your baby, that's the single biggest drop in hormones that women experience. So it's the physical, the hormonal, emotional, psychological, the socioeconomic element of becoming a mother. And it's all those things that impact us, impact how we feel we look, and all of those changes. If I could describe becoming a mother, don't get me wrong, I loved it and I
adore my child. I waited 7 years for him. But Christ, it felt like being hit by a fucking train, you know? Like, it's
It was the
huge.
single most life-changing moment. And
Yeah.
for me, look, no mom would disagree with this conversation, okay? So we're not trying to spin the negative. What we're actually trying
No.
to do is talk about the mother, right? So we know, like, naturally when you have a baby, your focus is the baby. Every visitor's focus is the baby. Every
Yeah.
medical appointment is the baby. It's all about the baby. And that's your baby, okay? So I'm not
Yeah.
taking away from the fact that all you care is your baby, but that doesn't leave much room for caring about yourself and actually considering yourself and other
Yeah.
people to consider you. So I was doing women's health physio before I had my first child, but being pregnant and having my first child is what made me change my whole career into women's health.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
matrescence is what literally, but it's what makes other women give up their jobs and try and set up a little business because they don't want to go to work and not be around their kids. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it is the most single life-changing thing, whether it's to do with your job, your relationship with your friends, your relationship with your family, your relationship with your husband, your relationship with yourself. It is the biggest,
Yeah.
most changing thing in your life. When we talk about the hormones, like pregnancy hormones are massive. First of all, there's surges. They make you get sick. They can give you pelvic girdle pain. They can make your skin, hair, and nails look amazing. They can give you insomnia. You can be buzzing. I always say to women at 31, 32 weeks pregnant, you will have the most hormones you'll ever have in your life. Forget
Yeah.
puberty. Never have so many hormones. Your body changes, your hormones change, your sleep changes, brain
Yeah.
function changes, and you're still trying to work usually full time and get through it and enjoy
Yeah.
it, you know? But then when you have your baby, literally, when I talk about that going to menopause overnight, that like is like a woman going in for a surgery and they remove her ovaries, like I'm waking up in menopause. But you actually have a small baby at the same time. So you're
Yeah.
becoming a mom maybe for the first time, right? And your hormones literally are gone. And that's what we should warn women about. Can we make a
Yeah.
difference then? No. We can't stop that happening. We're just kind of struggling through, but we're also in this bubble of, oh my God, we're parents. Wow. And like, gosh, like this is scary. And what do we do with the baby? And you're trying to learn how to be a mom and learn your baby who can't
Yeah.
tell you anything and maybe learn how to feed. And that's not going well. You're just so obsessed with that. And so for me, what's going on with the mum is massive in its own right. But when you put this tiny new baby, that's your world on top of it. Like that is an
Yeah.
impossible thing to juggle. So I don't even know how we prepare women. And again, when I talk about who's sitting in front of me, when I have talked to pregnant women, I try and talk to them a little bit about the postpartum, you know?
Yeah.
But when you're pregnant, you're pregnant. So you're living in that pregnancy moment. What you want to talk about is labor and how big the baby is and
Yeah.
nesting and your hormones and your bowels. It's really hard. Like it's like going to a breastfeeding class when you're pregnant and you don't have the baby there to breastfeed. It's just not
Yeah.
like, it's so hard to learn something you're not living, you know?
Yes.
And I really think that's human nature. And I'm really conscious of that when I talk to people in front of me. Like if I talk to a woman who's pregnant about all these hard things about postpartum, she might be like, God, you're scaremongering me. You're trying to
Yeah.
freak me out with this, you know? But when I talk to that mom who's had her baby, she's like, I feel so listened to. I feel so validated. This makes sense to me because I'm living in this moment. And that is, I suppose, what's always hard is giving people the message when they need to hear it at the right time.
In this final clip, coach, author, and TEDx speaker Siobhan Mungovan gives an honest account of what it feels like to come to terms with not being able to become a mother.
I've grown up and I've spoken about things that are a bit more topical in today's society, and especially in and around how disabled women are seen in society.
Yeah.
It's a huge interest of mine as to how they're actually seen, how women are seen in general in society, but definitely how women with disabilities are seen, and in and around the sexuality piece and in and around kids and family and all of these, because these are topics, as much as I'm very open about speaking about them, these are not topics that are spoken about
No.
when it comes to disabilities. Because when you have a disability, your main aim should be, and it's in air quotes because it's a load of rubbish, your main topic or concern should be just your health. That's the only thing you should be just concerned, staying above water. And I'm like, Well, there's a whole heap of things. Like, we still have the same hopes, we have the same desires as every other woman on the planet, but they're just not spoken about. And I think it's extremely disappointing that they're not spoken about, because it's a huge elephant in the room. And I just feel like it needs to be spoken about more, especially the mother piece, I think.
Yeah, and you posted a really honest video on LinkedIn about that. Tell me about that, Siobhan.
I think it's been something I've always had this burning desire to speak about, but because I suppose I've been influenced by society in a not so nice way, thinking like, I can't speak about that now, and like there's no need to be speaking about that. I think there's just something within me lately that I need to speak about this, because we're not seen as mums. We're seen as people that need to be taken care of, and not people that can take care of other people, which is so further from the truth. I know some beautiful women who are her mums, and they look after their babies or their kids just as well as any other mother. And I think I'm obviously at the age now where, like, as women, we are ran by our biological clock. Mine's ticking, but I can't have kids. And it isn't a case of I can't physically have a child, I can't carry it. Because obviously I'm only 4'6", and I am known as the 10% lady. And when I say the 10% lady is, like I mentioned earlier, my kidney function is at 10%, but also my lung function is at 10%.
Yeah.
So it's not feasible. It's too risky for me, but it's also too risky for my unborn child to put them under that strain and stuff. It's just not feasible. So it is a decision that I've made myself. It's a decision that's taken a while to learn and a while to come to terms with. This is why I was saying earlier, it's not a light switch. This is a grieving process. This is a grieving process in which I'm going through at present. But if I'm going through it, I'm a firm believer that there's so many other women out there who are going through it also. But where's the space for the disabled woman to speak about it? Like, if a man can't have a kid, or a woman who is able-bodied can't have a kid, it's like, the poor thing, and it's so hard on them, and which it is. I'm not taking it away from able-bodied people. It is devastating, because I read somewhere or listened to something there the other day that, like, if you can't have a kid, and the amount of money that sometimes we throw at something and you still can't have it, it's so devastating. But I think society shows more compassion to the able-bodied community more so than the disabled community. I just want that same compassion to be shown both ends of the scale.
That's it for this bonus episode of Mindset Matters. I hope you found some of this helpful or insightful. If you'd like to know more about my coaching services, you can go to my website, www.bucoaching.ie, or you'll find me on Instagram at bucoaching. That's at BEUCOACHING. Thank you for listening.